Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control. Brad and John, they're the ones to follow. Yeah, ready for the ride. It's the BJ Show. BJ Show.
It is the BJ Show. Today's date is June 18th. Did I get that right, John?
You did. It's Juneteenth Eve.
Juneteenth. Hold it now. I thought, isn't today Juneteenth? We had this argument one time.
Juneteenth is June 19th, Brad.
God. So tomorrow's a federal holiday is what you're saying?
And a state holiday, Brad. Don't you go driving to Jefferson City tomorrow.
Oh, my God. Just like we need more holidays. Okay, that is John Combest. By the way, John, can I just do a small aside here?
Yeah, please do.
I did two events last night. First off, I did the Weldon Springs Chamber of Commerce, I don't know what they call it, meet and greet, where you go to the bar and you shake hands with people and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, and there's no S in Weldon Spring, right?
Right, Weldon Spring, yeah. Weldon Spring, Cottleville Weldon Spring Chamber of Commerce. Okay, so I met someone, actually three people there, who will be the topic of, and I have to tell you this, John, I have four things to talk about in Brad's top three, so we'll have
Nice. You teased that it might become Brad's top four next month, Brad.
We have a 3A and a 3B, and believe it or not, 3A is interesting and 3B is about you, but that's a whole nother story. Okay,
nice.
So then I went to Mike Elam's at Shamrocks on Mexico Road and had a nice talk with Len Pagano. And the first thing I said to Len, and if you got to know the background on this, I said, Len, you're supporting Mike Elam? I thought you were a Bill Eigel guy. And he gives me
that's hilarious.
He gives me the eye roll because we've talked about this before, that Len Pagano and Bill Eigel are about as far apart as you can get, mainly because of the fact that, and Len said again last night, if Bill gets rid of the property tax and the personal property tax, the real estate property tax, how are we going to run other cities? Which, to a certain extent, is correct. They get a big chunk of their money from the personal property and the real estate taxes, right, John?
For sure, absolutely.
The city gets that. Anyway, he was a wonderful guy to talk to. But then I ran into, and I'm not going to give these two women names on the air because I don't want to embarrass them. And they are, shall we say, higher ups in the Republican Party in the state of Missouri, okay? So I give her my card, and she looks at it, and the one lady looks at it. She goes, oh, you're a radio guy. She goes, do you do a talk show or a music station? I said, well, we have one of each. And
you do both, actually. Right?
Right. That's one of each. So I said to her, she says, well, what do you do in your talk station? I said, well, it's got a lot of conservative, talk programming with Armstrong and Getty. And it's got, if you know about Red State, it's got Eric Erickson, these three guys in the afternoon. They're, all very conservative. And she says, are you on the air? And I go, yeah, I'm on the air. And she goes, do you do a show by yourself? I go, no, I'm on with John Combest. I said, you know who that is? He runs this site, johncombest.com. The two women look at each other, go, who is that? I go,
yeah, that's cool, Brad.
I go, johncombest.com. He puts together this list every single morning of all these important. He's been doing it for 23 years. And one lady says, well, I've never heard of it. Does he promote it at all? Does he have any billboards or does he buy any radio time?
Nice.
No.
That's funny, Brad. That's a callback to C Block yesterday, right?
I don't think he does. Hey,
Brad, let me ask you real quick.
Yeah.
You didn't see, we had a great C Block yesterday.
Yeah.
And where we had some real talk about accountability and holding each other accountable.
Right.
And you didn't post that to YouTube. Is there a reason why you didn't post it to YouTube?
Yeah, it is. It's on there. And
no, you didn't.
Yeah, look at Brad's.
I did. I was just there, Brad. You didn't post C Block yesterday. Is there a reason why you didn't post it yesterday?
No, I don't post C Block. I just post B Block.
No, Brad, I'm talking about on our YouTube page. You didn't post C Block to our YouTube page yesterday.
John, I'll go. John, do me a favor, real quick.
Yeah, while I'm doing the top three, we'll come back to it, and you can answer my question. And if you didn't want to post it yesterday because I was holding you accountable and we had some really stark conversations about spending,
John,
and debt. If you didn't want to post it, I understand.
John, yep. Because of the problem we've had with, I don't know what's going on with, and this is very frustrating. I do a lot of web stuff, okay? And the worst situation you get yourself into is you get yourself in between two people who point fingers at each other. And this is going on with, I do not know what happened, but on our bjshow.co page, and matter of fact, I even texted you last week and said, or called you and said, John, See if you can go on bjshow.co.
Yeah, and I couldn't get it. So
right.
So you posted A and B block yesterday, Brad, but for some reason you didn't post C block to YouTube.
No, John, look at bjshow.co. It's changed.
I went there 7 minutes ago, Brad.
Okay, I don't put the Dumaflachis there anymore. I've taken off the red circle thing, and I put the YouTube version as well too.
I understand. And so what I'm asking you, Brad, is there a reason why you didn't post yesterday's C block to YouTube?
Well, no, hold on. Aren't there 3 listings on bjshow.co? Aren't there 3?
Yeah, and it's from C block from the day before.
Okay, well, I screwed up. It's my mistake. Okay,
so that wasn't intentional. That's just like execution and incompetence.
John, don't take this the wrong way. Okay, I put the stuff up, and I have my numbering system, and you change it, and that quite honestly messes me up because
so every other day you post all 3 segments to YouTube, but we had a great C block yesterday, and you're saying that was just an error that you didn't post.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to just walk away from the studio here, and I'm going to give you, it's 6:09. I'm not going to say anything till 6:20. So you've got 11 minutes. I'm just going to walk away.
It's not 6:20, Brad.
Oh, excuse me. I'm looking at the wrong clock. It's 7:09. I'm going to give you to 7:20. I'm going to go take a look at this because I think that, I post everything.
It won't take you 11 minutes, Brad. And again, there's no need to be defensive. I'm just asking if there's a reason why you didn't post C-block.
You're saying I think you're sort of accusing me of like not putting it there because we had a little tay-to-tay on the air.
I just hope that we go back. And I know, Brad, that after you post stuff, you do a good job. You go back and you look and you make sure it's accurate. I'm just making sure that there's no reason why you didn't, because if so, we could talk about it.
John, like I said, and don't take this the wrong way. I put the things up. I have my numbering system. You change them. And the problem I run into is, and I'll be honest with you, this is the problem I have, is that when I put the listing up, I put my number, which is essentially
the segment number, which is not the show number, right?
The segment number, which is I put a number sign, and we're over 1,000. We're in like the 1,000.
We're like at 1,150.
Okay, so when I look at that, it's the very first thing. You do it the opposite way, and you change it to episode 292C or whatever the heck it is. And I'm going like, that means nothing to me. So if I did not
I think listeners appreciate they can know which episode it is, Brad.
But John, all you have to do is just take my number 1192, episode 392, version A, and then we got both systems going. No?
Oh, okay. That's a great point. So there's no reason why you didn't post C yesterday. That was just incompetence. That wasn't, John, you weren't mad about it anymore.
Once again, on the bjshow.co, are there 3 things listed there?
Yeah, there are. And the C block is the one from the previous day, Brad. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I screwed up, John.
Okay, there we go. I've waited 11 minutes.
There was no malintent on me doing this. And once again, here's the thing. You know what? You know what's interesting about this is?
What's that, Brad?
When we have our little back and forth on the air like that yesterday.
Yeah, it's good radio, right?
It's great radio.
Everybody loves it. And you know what they also love, Brad? At 7:12 a.m., they love John's Top 3.
Do you remember the Joe Pine show?
No.
Oh my God, the Joe Pine show. We'll talk about that in B or C block. You missed it. If you're too young for the Joe Pine show, the Joe Pine show was the world's best political program, and I think it lasted a year. And they fired the guy because I think he took a swing at one of his guests. It was the best. And it's like it was like watching old Tom Snyder. You remember who Tom Snyder was?
I do remember that. Yeah, he was out in L.A., right?
Right, and he would do the show smoking a cigarette. He would just, smoking a cigarette. He'd do the show. Hey, and it was him and a guest, and they did it in an all-black studio. They just did, key lighting, and their hair looked really nice and the whole bit, and they just did the show like that. Okay, this is John Combest. Every single day, he puts together these important stuff that women out in St. Charles don't know anything about, but he needs to put some billboards up so they know about it. And we start off with this guy right here, and what's your name, sir?
I'm Casey Kasem.
And what do you do?
Now on with the countdown.
And here we start.
In third place.
So, John, I'm going to walk away till 7:20. I'll be back, okay?
And you're not going to do what you need to do, which is play the intro to story number 2 and story number 1, right?
Well, I guess I can't. So I can't walk away. So
yeah, there we go. Okay. Well, you'll stick around, Brad. You won't be passive-aggressive like you have been for the last 19 months, and you'll actually do your job and execute. Okay, story number 3. Brad, it's not every day that USA Today highlights a story from Missouri, but this one has affected me and you And it's not just early onset dementia. It's these fake texts allegedly from MoDOT. That's right, USA Today headline. Missouri Department of Transportation, DMV, warns against text scams. How to avoid. Now, before we get too flattered and think that USA Today is paying a bunch of attention to Missouri, this is really a national story. So a lot of times USA Today will take a national story and they'll tailor it a little bit so that people in individual states will think that the story is tailored to them. So this is one of those. But this gentleman named Ahmad Jawahi actually shows some texts that have gone out to real Missourians. And Brad, you and I have talked about this on the show more than once, these scam messages that tell you that you have unpaid fines and that you need to go to a specific website and enter all your personal and financial information, or else the Missouri Department of Transportation will take action immediately against you. Now, I think this is pretty good citizen journalism. I shouldn't say citizen journalism. Service journalism is the phrase I was looking for, because there are often old people or naive people or people that aren't that sharp in your life who might look at these texts and think that they're legitimate and click on a link and have some bad effects. You know, we see all the time. The reason why these scams exist is because a certain number of people actually click the links and fall for it. The one interesting piece about this that Mr. Jawadi points out is that the country code is coming from the Philippines. Now, I always assumed that this was just a scam from a bunch of Indians in Calcutta, and it still might be, but that country code is coming from +63, which is the Philippines. So I'm not sure if authorities have confirmed that this is indeed coming from India, like most of these scams do, or if it's a Russian bot or something. But apparently these groups are using AI algorithms. They tailor the message specifically to your state. So remind old people and simple people in your life to not fall for these scams, Brad.
John, all these calls come from Philippines or India. I get, on an average day on phone calls, I probably get, and I'm not kidding, I probably get 20 of these. 20 of these. And what they're doing is you know, they're pulling local numbers. They're pulling 314 and 6366 exchanges. And if you ever, I know you don't ever answer them, but because
I would never answer.
I answer my phone to everybody. And by the way, just last week I answered my phone. I thought it was a scam call, and I got an order out of it, but that's a whole other story. But
right.
No, seriously, I did.
No, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And the point of it is that it's, you know, the reason the government can't do anything about it is, like you said, they're in overseas. We can't touch them.
They're offshore. It'd be like an offshore betting account. Missouri can't take money from that. The feds can't take money from that.
What they need to do is they need to get these guys. There's a couple guys on the internet. You and I have talked about this before, that are on YouTube that are just these computer nerds. They're Americans. And they hack into the hackers' system, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, Kid Boga, Scammer Payback.
Right,
others.
exactly.
And you know who's got a lot of money? The subject of story number 2, Brad, with 4 minutes left.
Up a notch to number 2.
A story by Katie Cull of the Post-Dispatch. Finally, some good news. Hundreds of immigrants are filling jails in outstate Missouri after ICE arrests. That's right. Some rural jailhouses, I should say prisons, in parts of Missouri that are not St. Louis, are housing folks on their way back to their home countries. And it's a beautiful thing. You say, John, what's so great about it? Some of these facilities, for example, Greene County down in Springfield, are making a bunch of money off housing these illegal aliens, these folks that are soon to be deported back to their home country, going back to where they came from, going back to where they should be. And in fact, Brad, this Katie Cull piece has some joyous quotes from folks down in Greene County who talk about why they actually don't mind hosting these illegal aliens. And the quote from the great presiding commissioner, Bob Dixon, former state senator in Springfield. He says the great thing about housing illegal aliens, when it comes to the federal government, quote, the good thing is, at least they pay on a timely basis. In other words, Brad, Greene County and other counties are making a pretty penny off housing these illegal aliens. And in Greene County, they're trying to get as much as $161 per federal detainee per day. They're currently getting only $100. But just think, Brad, you feed an illegal alien a couple sandwiches a day. You got to pay for water to, maybe hose them down once a week out in the yard or something. You're probably making a little money off every alien.
John, back in the day, I don't know if this is true anymore or not, the Berkeley City Jail got in trouble because you know how they fed the inmates there?
Yeah, did they put them in a trough?
No, they went to Mickey D's.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Well, I say nothing, but
That's a Brad Hildebrand deal right
yeah,
there.
to me, it's like, okay, that's no problem for me. But when that
Brad might run another stop sign in Calverton Park just to get locked up.
When that came out, people go, oh, that's horrible. They're torturing the prisoners by feeding them McDonald's. Yeah, that kind of thing. Are you ready for number one?
We sure are.
The number one.
The first two stories were lighthearted. The third one today, Brad, story number one, is not. And it's a story brought to us by Dana Reek of the Post-Dispatch today. The headline, teen hit and killed downtown, was, quote, innocent bystander, unquote, visiting St. Louis. There's a young man with the nickname Didi. He was a little white kid. I shouldn't say little. He was a white kid named Daniel Stahl, 16 years old. He came in town with a friend and the friend's mom, ostensibly to attend the No Kings anti-Trump rally downtown, to protest downtown. This woman, who apparently had her son with her, and then also this young man, Didi, who was a friend of that family, they decided that they were going to hang out at a party on Washington Avenue around 1:30 a.m., a little after 1 o'clock Sunday morning, Brad. So late Saturday night. There was, I guess, a big urban party. There's a rapper named Sexy Red, and she had a, quote, audition event down there starting at 4 p.m. on Saturday. So there was a, quote, unsanctioned rooftop loft party that devolved, surprisingly, into shenanigans, hooliganism, violence, gunshots. This young man, Daniel Stahl, 16, was killed when a car ran up on a sidewalk and began shooting at people. Now, Brad, the extenuating circumstance here, and one that will keep this, I think, newsworthy for a little while, is that police are investigating the role of this woman, who was apparently 29, who was Daniel's friend's mom. So she had some kind of a connection to this urbanite party. And whether or not she's going to be held responsible for having a 16-year-old out at 1 a.m. to get killed, I guess that remains to be seen. But really sad, Brad. We talked about how, surprisingly, there wasn't a lot of savagery or violence at these No Kings protests. I pointed out the fact that the demographic seemed to be pretty white. And then I guess you go to Wash Ave and you go to a loft and you have a kid go to a party at 1 a.m. And I don't know why anybody thinks that anything good can come of that. So very sad story, Brad.
Okay, little clarification. Was he killed by the car or killed by the bullet?
I believe he was killed by, I thought he was killed by the car, but let's take a look at this.
Because you said the car.
He was killed down there, yeah.
Right, but he said the car came up on the sidewalk and started firing. So
yeah, a fight broke out. A passenger shot a gun at the same time. The car hit and killed Daniel.
Okay,
so it was a car that hit him and killed him, not the bullet.
Well, God, John, remember when Wash Ave was, the place and all the hipsters and all the young couples?
Yeah, 20 years ago, those lofts where I had a friend that lived down there. It was
Right.
the Pepper Lounge was down there. There were pretty white girls that would go there even after dark. And I can't imagine why anyone thinks that it would be a good idea to go to Wash Ave at any time of day.
It's gotten crazy down there. It just has.
It's disgusting.
And the sad part of it is, if you try to live a normal life down there, you really can't. If you're like somebody who gets up early in the morning like you and I, and they're partying until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, that doesn't necessarily work with the different lifestyles, does it, John?
Not at all.
Okay, we have to take a break.